Good morning, everybody. I'm Delegate Chris Head, representing the 17th District in the Virginia House of Delegates, with this week's update from Richmond. Well, last week, we finished our first full week of session, and what a week it was. Now, of course, the major news of the week was in Washington. I was delighted to be able to attend the inauguration with my wife and two of my children. My oldest daughter is married, and she lives in Alabama, but the other two were there, and it was amazing. Regardless of your party leanings, being able to witness the peaceful transition of power is moving and awe-inspiring. No other country in history has ever pulled it off like we have here in the United States. And all of us who were born here have won life's lottery. The experience of witnessing the inauguration up close and personal reminded me that, to borrow a line from Lee Greenwood, I really am proud to be an American. Well, back here in Richmond, the House members have introduced over 1,000 bills, and the 40-member Senate has introduced over 700 bills, and all of those bills have to be dealt with in committee over the next 2 weeks. There are 14 House committees that will be doing the heavy lifting for our stuff. The House Republican Caucus has been working ever since we adjourned last year to develop priorities for this session. We want to create a culture of opportunity where people can empower themselves to flourish in society. And we want to do that through private job creation and entrepreneurship, through healthcare reform, and modernizing educational options. And this week I'm going to highlight our agenda to improve the economy and create jobs in Virginia. Now, our jobs agenda has one main goal, and that's to make it easier for people to work. We have several caucus members who are carrying regulatory reform legislation. Our current regulatory system is broken. We've got some ridiculous permitting requirements that have made it extremely difficult and expensive and time-consuming to do business. Now, I understand that all regulations are not bad, but regulations should always be transparent, fair, and they should impose the minimum financial burdens on businesses and families. Now, several members have submitted bills to strengthen public input requirements on newly proposed regulations to create accountability for those agencies that think that they should not be held to those standards, and in general to scale back the tremendous amount of the regulatory burden that working professionals currently experience. We've also got some comprehensive legislation to reform the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, or VEDP, the state agency that's tasked with marketing Virginia to potential new businesses around the world. Now, last December, the Joint Legislative Audit and Review Commission, JLARC, published the worst and most disappointing report on a state agency within the last 20 years. In their briefing, they highlighted that VEDP has operated without using the basic practices that are necessary for effective management and marketing. And what's more, we learned that VEDP's unstructured and inconsistent approach to administering state incentive grant programs leaves us vulnerable to fraud and to poor use of the limited resources that we've got. Essentially, the Commonwealth's marketing agency was operating without a marketing plan. Now, these systematic deficiencies at the state agency have got to be addressed. They're supposed to be our key management and marketing agency of Virginia's economic development activity, but they've been grossly mismanaged to the detriment of our economy. And it's time to restore accountability and General Assembly oversight. And until reforms have been made, well, their state funding is going to be withheld. We're all refiling several common sense jobs bills that Governor McAuliffe groundlessly vetoed in 2016. In fact, we already passed out House Bill 1394. That's legislation that I introduced to strengthen franchisee business owners and their ability to effectively run their own businesses. It passed the House 67-31, and it's now on its way over to the Senate. I talked a little bit last week about the budget shortfall of over $1 billion. Now, the governor chose to make up some of that shortfall with fee increases. For example, in his plan, loggers would have to pay a $100 water quality inspection notification fee. When loggers begin to harvest timber, they're required to notify the Department of Forestry, and DOF then inspects the logging operation for compliance with the silviculture water quality law. And this new fee is a notification that they're already providing, but it can hurt their businesses. Another example of what Governor McAuliffe wants is an increase in the annual restaurant permit renewal fee to go from $40 to $285. Well, we think those are bad ideas. We're going to give you a structurally balanced budget without increased fees or taxes. One bill that has gotten a lot of headlines in our area, on another note, is Kathy Byron's bill on broadband authorities. Now, I'm not sure at this point that this bill is even going to get out of committee, and if it does, it won't likely look like it does currently. That's part of the process. Fortunately, in Virginia, even though we move really fast, we always have time to actually read the legislation that's before us. And because we actually adhere to the germaneness rule, a bill can't be loaded down with amendments that have nothing to do with the underlying legislation. Well, what I can tell you at this stage about that bill is that in its current form, it has some things that I really like. It also has some things that I'm pretty concerned about. If it progresses, I'll give you an update on the whole thing. It's a really long, really complicated bill, which means we need to go slowly so that we don't make a mistake with public policy this important. Don't forget that my staff and I are here in Richmond to serve you. We want to hear about what you think about the legislation that's pending before the House, or if there's anything that we can do and help you dealing with a state agency. Remember that during session, I can be reached by phone at 804-698-1017 or by email at delchead@house.virginia.gov. And remember that if you're planning to visit Richmond during the session, I would really love to have you come visit me. My office is here in room 408 in the General Assembly Building. Please keep in touch with me and my office over the coming months. I really do value the feedback that you give me on a continual basis because it helps me do a better job of representing you. And thank you again for allowing me to serve as your delegate. I'll give you another update next week or sooner if something comes up that you need to know about. Till then, take care and God bless.